So welcome. My name's Christopher Argent, the founder of GenerationCFO.com, the largest CFO and finance function network in the UK. And I'm also managing partner of Gen CFO Advisory, a digital finance function consultancy, manages strategy and training. I'd like to give a massive shout out to Ellen Lee and the Purchase to Pay Network for asking me to talk today. I've heard about you for a long time, and it's great to be able to talk to you today. So we're going to look at your path to becoming a digital finance leader, and not just the path, but how you must lead digital innovations, digital initiatives that are going to lead to bigger things, better career options for you in the future. And this isn't just my opinion. We're going to back this up with research and data, so you can be more valuable to your finance function and actually more valuable to your business overall. Obviously, this opportunity has been accelerated by the COVID pandemic. I'm sure a lot of us have experienced changes over the last few weeks and months. And I'm going to show you how we can actually thrive during this period, not just survive, but if you're in FinOps or shared services or GBS, then I'm going to show you how what you have right now is a skill set that can actually project you into this new space of digital finance function, maybe even leapfrog over a few people who are already in the finance teams that you want to work in. So the deal is I'm going to talk for about 30 minutes and I'm going to hopefully engage you in this opportunity, and I really hope you can benefit from it. So first of all, a little bit about me. So I've had sort of three careers, if you like. I started out as an accountant and worked up through the ranks to become CFO, then became a finance transformation lead at a number of these well-known companies, Vodafone, Amazon, and John Lewis Partners. And now I've specialized in the finance function and the digital finance function, and how we can exploit the digital transformation that's happening everywhere in business at the moment. First I was an SME CFO, and the reason why I changed is because I kind of got sick of the poor process and the poor tools that I had, and I was very much business facing and quite a commercial manager. So I wanted to offer more value to the business, and I just felt that I was part of the problem with all this, poor legacy problem around me. So I decided to become part of the solution, and I moved into finance transformation, where, like I say, I worked at a lot of these household names across FinOps, bringing in capability there, analytics into corporate finance, data visualization, automation, always across the finance function, and always with a remote team. So for me, remote working and doing this and getting it right has actually been pretty easy despite the pandemic. And the third step for me was actually doing what I do today, which is founding Generation CFO, which is a network of people, and starting Gen CFO Advisory, because we found that CFOs were searching for solutions, searching for strategy, searching for more understanding of this digital world. And I think we can all agree that in a pandemic world, these strategies are more important than ever. That is why I'm doing what I do today. And why do I tell you this? Well, a little bit about myself, obviously, but it's about the context, the context of what I'm bringing here. This is something that I've done. It's something that I've lived through. It's something that I've researched, I've seen in action, and I understand what is possible. And we'll bring the research and the data to show you that there's a big change coming, and it may be challenging. And what I say, I hope, is also a little bit provocative, and it makes you think. But this is definitely the start of a new path for us, and I think COVID has only accelerated that. In recent research, we found that 72% of finance teams had more demand since COVID-19. and that demand was already there before. That was averaging around 2 hours per day. And also in the same research that Gen CFO did, we found that the top 3 challenges were increased demand on the finance team, but then that was impacting staff productivity, which is the second challenge. And then the third challenge, which has been there for a while, but been really exposed during this time, is agility, in terms of how we collaborate, some of the skills gap, and how some of the tools that we use is a bit of a tools gap. And that is a significant and fundamental issue for a finance team, and that is something that the CFOs and the leadership of finance teams need to fix. And that 52% of people who answered said that finance transformation strategy had increased in priority since COVID-19. So, we're living through the pain, okay? I don't need to sort of tell you that. You're probably going through it right now. But what I'm saying is that not only is there sort of digital changes coming, digital transformation changes coming, but there's increased demand from the business coming. So we have to start getting this right, and we have to start understanding what digital finance means. So let me just sort of try and set the scene for you, and this is how I sort of talk about it generally. So, what is digital finance? What is leadership in digital finance? Well, digital finance is the digitalization, the integration of technology into the finance team. And it's bringing this new way in to our existing environment that we need to get our head around. And the way I like to talk about it is that, it's a bit like trying to set up a relay team, right, from your existing sprint team. Okay, let's imagine, you've watched it on TV, you've even run it at school, you're in a 4x100 meter relay race. Now, you have to say to that group of athletes who have already got stuff going on, I want you to be part of a winning relay race. And I want to find a team that wants to win at that new race. Now, you've got people who are already there, they're already running in their own race. But you need to find people who want that extra challenge, who want to do something different. Now, some of them won't want to be part of it. Some of them will want to be part of it. Some of them want to get the double-double or the triple-triple, okay? We don't all have to be Usain Bolt, but, the point is you are trying to find people and forming this team from them. And for my message is from your existing team, okay? This isn't always about looking external for people. Now, obviously you need people who can run, but you obviously need a different mix of skills with this team. You need people who can fly out the blocks. You need some people who can run the curve. You need some people who can run the home straight. You also need new skills in that you're going to hold a baton. And, how many times have we seen that drop to the Olympics? They're new skills that we have to learn. Okay. We have to think about, how we're running with that baton, transitioning between each other, and how we can be a more dynamic team. Going a bit mad on this metaphor, but the point is this relay team is like your digital finance team that you're trying to form. Okay, it's going to be new, but it's going to start from your existing team, your existing business team, not just finance team. It's going to be a multidisciplinary team. That is what is going to make you, successful in this. You're going to have to decide what the priorities are, what you want to invest in, what you want to run with. You're going to need a leader to invest in as well, to direct that team. You're going to need to bring the business with you and all these different parts together, the finance team, the IT team, specialists in different areas, whatever is your priority project. And you need to try, and you need to test, and you need to fail, and you need to go again. You absolutely need to learn from that experience. And it's by doing that, by kind of operating as a relay team, you will be successful. Now, it's kind of that simple, forming a team and running a race, but it's that complex. So what I'm going to do here today is lay out our sort of 10-step framework, how we train people in this, how we go about this ourselves. And that comes from, you know, my own experience in finance, working, delivering in these projects, and also the research that's there and working with, you know, partners and consultancies out there, clients out there, you know, to really sharpen this approach. Now, let's have a little look at what digital finance is, just to be clear, because this might be a new thing and people might think, well, it's just ERP upgrades, isn't it? Or, you know, doing other stuff. Well, you know, we don't start with the solutions when we talk about this, but I need to be clear on definitions. Now, digitization is taking, you know, something physical and turning it into data. So that could be anything from a paper invoice being scanned and being held on a system, to pictures and, you know, documents that you have within your system. Digitalization, which is what we're talking about here, is bringing in technology, yes, and we'll look at our approach to this a bit later, because it's not about technology specifically, but bringing in technology that enables accounting and finance to use these digital assets, this data, metadata, but digital assets. Finance transformation is this one-way change to create a digital capability, to use this digital capability. And if you like, it's the result of everything. Transformation is the result of all this stuff working. But the critical thing here is that it's one way. And I think with COVID and with, you know, all of the problems that we're facing at the moment in terms of productivity and time and demand, you know, frequency of planning, you know, real intense work, then, you know, this has to be a one-way change. This isn't about doing something temporarily and then going back to old ways. This is about making a one-way change. And then, you know, that leads to our digital finance function. Okay, so, and this is across a number of different capabilities. This isn't just adding, you know, some workflow to our ERP. In fact, this isn't about ERP really at all. It's about whatever your business, your CFO is prioritizing. And, you know, that's sort of my definition, but this is actually from SEMA and from the AICPA, and all the accountancy bodies have their own version of it. But just to sort of make it clear, you know, everyone is putting digital skills right at the heart of finance now. Okay, this is something that is core to our roles. So what does the next 10 years bring? You know, if we're looking at all these different sort of technologies and we, you know, we need a reason why. And the mega trends that are in our world right now, this isn't just finance, are affecting how we approach this. Now, these three trends are going to come into the workplace very soon. So we've got Industry 4.0, basically loads of high, you know, leading edge technology that is going to become more and more the norm. Then we have Generation Z, which is what Generation ZFO is actually named after, Generation Z plus the CFO, because these people are operating completely differently. They're tech savvy, they want to work in a different way, and they're going to have a very different approach to work and, you know, productivity at work and ways of working that then, you know, maybe the leadership team did when they started, you know, 20, 30 years ago. And also there's a demographic change. You know, people are changing in terms of sort of attitudes towards who we are and how we work and what we do. And, you know, you could put sort of home working and social distancing and distance being a new norm into that category. Now, that is this mega trend. Now, this is a report that's come out from Nesta. It was focused on, you know, employment in 2030. Now, you know, 2030 is 10 years away, right? But that 10 years is relevant probably to most of the people in your team, and definitely Generation Z that are coming in, and most millennials. So, you know, your managers and senior managers right now. So we're looking forward 10 years and we're saying, right, where do we need to be? Now, we're good in a way. You know, we've heard a lot of stuff about redundancy and accountancy, and I debunked that a long time ago. I don't believe that. And as you can see here, we've got, you know, professional occupations and sort of senior management right at the top of this list, which is, you know, a ranking of where the jobs will be in the future. And this is basically suggesting, you know, this is aligned to technology and how technology will change and how the market will change. And this is basically suggesting that the more kind of problem solving roles, the more, you know, creative decision making roles that are out there in business are going to be the ones to have, because the ones further down the list, the, you know, elementary occupations as they call it here, or, you know, more administrative type roles, they'll be less frequent. There will be less of them, and that is because of technology. Now, I'm not suggesting that anyone here is going to be made redundant. What I am saying though is that there will be a shift in the market, shift in our environment. You know, you're probably seeing it already, but that shift's going to happen, you know, probably at a faster rate now, because of COVID and because of some of the changes, and I'll explain why that is. Now, again, the reason why we're doing this, the way that I talk about digital finance, because, you know, we are finance people and we love to talk about ROI and value and all the rest of it, but, you know, the way I like to talk about this is in terms of value creation. These projects are not just for the sake of IT. They're not IT led. They are projects for the business. And the way I talk about this is that we need to generate an intangible asset value when we invest in anything that we're doing. And, you know, the way to think about this is when we leave, right, are we leaving something behind that is of value to the business? And that could be, you know, systems and processes and data, you know, whatever it is, but are we leaving something behind, or are we taking everything with us when we leave? So it's about value creation. And as you can see here, you know, the change from this sort of non-digital world to the digital world is clear in the S&P 500, where there's an absolute swing between, you know, 1975 and 2015, when 78% of the S&P 500 was an intangible asset. Okay, an intangible asset. Now, if I turned around to you before you saw this and said, what's an intangible asset to an accountant? They'll probably say goodwill or something. You know, we have to get much better at understanding value in business. This one here, again, the global business value generated from AI. Again, you know, don't worry about the numbers, but the trend, it's doubling and doubling and doubling every few years. So what is AI to our business? What is digital transformation to our business? And this is all about driving value. We're not just doing it for the sake of it. You know, and where is the investment going? There's a lot of investment in lots of different technologies, but as you can see here, you know, it's around process automation, you know, taking those administrative roles in a different direction. You know, maybe there'll be less of them. There will definitely be humans involved in those processes, but it's taking some of those more administrative roles into a different direction. You know, we've got cloud here, we've got IoT because of that Industry 4 expansion. We've got analytics because we've got so much more data now than ever before. And obviously from a forecasting point of view in business, we have AI and ML and, you know, all sorts of different ways of looking at AI in business. Now, there's a lot of risk in this, okay? In the market so far, you know, last year around this big data analytics and AI survey, 68% of the projects that were from the questions that were answered, I think it went to a whole mix of people from enterprise all the way through to mid-sized companies. 68% of projects failed. Okay, so there is risk involved in this, but that's where we come in, because we've developed a people-centered approach to this, And why do I say people-centered, not technology-centered? Because technology isn't failing us. Technology isn't failing us, okay? Technology only failed the project 8% of the time. So it's all about people, okay? People are taking our failure rate from 8% to 68%. There is a whole universe of technology out there, okay? I don't expect any one person to be able to understand the technology that's out there. We have a view and we use certain tools and we can help with vendor selection, but we do not know the whole market, absolutely not. And the market and technology are traveling at such a rate of knots that businesses can't keep up. If analysts can't keep up, who's their job to know the market, then businesses cannot keep up. Finance people and CFOs cannot keep up. We have to accept that. So we are part of the solution, but we are not all of the solution. And in terms of sort of an example of technology, you know, working, let's just look at Zoom over the last few months, okay? We've all gone mad for Zoom. We were using it already. We were one of the 10 million back in December who were using it. But look at this. Look at its scale. It went from 10 million in December to 20 million daily meetings by March. In April, 300 million, okay? And this is my point. The technology is there, okay? There's enough technology in this universe. There's enough, you know, experience with this technology now to get it working well, okay? And when you get the right technology in, you can scale it. And that's part of the approach that we need to take. You know, we trial, you know, we do the December small thing, and then we scale in March and April. The point is here, though, that, you know, it is all about people. People are making the difference. So as much as I bang on about technology, people and culture and the culture of that team are going to be the difference between success and failure. And here's, you know, you don't have to listen to me. Here's a man who knows what he's talking about, Ben Horowitz, who, you know, was the man who invested in Slack, who invested in Airbnb, in Lyft, who invested in a whole host of technology companies. But what is he talking about now? He's talking about culture. He's talking about how business culture will make and break you. Okay, he understands, as you understand and I understand, that people are the difference between, you know, technology projects working, between technology businesses working or not. Now, this is a pretty ugly slide, I have to say, and I apologize for that. But, you know, I just want to sort of highlight some of the things that are coming to mind to me over the COVID period. You know, people have changed. People have changed to home working, and that necessity was the mother of the invention of working from home and Zoom. Please do not get in the way of that, okay? We are riding an agility wave at the moment in finance, and we need to go with it. It might be painful, it might be forced, but we need to keep going with it. We need to develop a digital mindset, okay? We need to be thinking digital first, and we know we can do it because we've just done it, you know, because of COVID-19, because of lockdown. We also need to accept that our teams are the starting point for all of these projects, but they're not the only, you know, they're not the only solution, that they're not the only people that you need in your team to sort out all of your digital finance challenges. And I'll come on to that. They have a role, and a very, very important one. When it comes to this new relay team, this digital finance relay team, they have to work differently. They need a new org structure. Vertical hierarchies do not work in this environment. It doesn't promote learning. It doesn't promote agility, okay? That is how we work at the moment, and we have to do something differently with this, you know, this team, this new team that we're gonna hopefully turn into the whole team. We need to stop our ways of working, and we need to think about business priorities. Okay, we've always done it this way, it just doesn't work during COVID-19. And I think the new norm is going to be more aligned to COVID-19. It's going to be more aligned to outcomes and not managing tasks as we might have done before. If you want to manage tasks, you're going down that list. That means you're getting closer to the robot who can manage that task. Again, I'm not saying anyone's going to be made redundant, but it's just, you know, in terms of value add, in terms of your role, we want to be going up that list towards these more creative, more expansive growth roles, okay, not towards the task-based roles. We need to accept that distance is a new normal, okay? Remote working is where it started. There's going to be a trickle back to work, but remote working may be the norm. Distance is certainly going to be the norm, whether it's in the office, whether it's across different office spaces, you know, different locations, however it's managed, it's going to be distance is going to be the new norm. And as a result, we need collaboration tools, okay? Our collaboration tools need to improve in finance, okay? Get off email. I have an inbox zero approach to email. You can look that up as an approach, but you know, email is the worst way of communicating. You cannot collaborate through email, and you might have some internal systems already at your disposal, but there are better and better and better ones out there, but you need a collaboration tool. You also need to understand that remote working isn't the same as just doing what you did in the office at home. And I'm sure a lot of people are going through that pain at the moment. We have to think of working differently. We have to think about how we work remotely and how our behavior changes as a result of that. And, you know, this is going to grate with a few people. Again, this is a bit provocative, but I want people to think about this. This is not about ROI, okay? This is about your relevance and value to the business, okay? Your relevance in your team going forward, but also the value to the business who needs you to work in this area. And, you know, the last one is change. Change means changing, okay? Change means changing, which means we have to put in the effort. We have to say, right, okay, I'm up for this. I'm ready to make that change. And here's the thing. Here's the shared services opportunity, the PPN opportunity, because your culture, your knowledge of technology, your knowledge of finance adds up to a win. Because from my point of view, working in group finance and commercial finance and BI and analytic teams, you guys are needed by your finance team. And I'll go one step further. You are potentially in a place to leapfrog finance people and go straight to these digital finance roles that are potentially aligned with the business directly, okay? Your culture is very much system oriented. You know, you've had to change, you've had to adapt, you've had to look at how, you know, GBiz grew and then was rationalized and maybe grew again. As you brought in different services into that environment. You know, that is something that finance needs to learn, and I think you have an opportunity there. Your alignment to technology, you know, that used to be your weakness, right? I remember working with people who were saying, you know, I'm supposed to be here for a year or two in shared services and I want to get back as quickly as possible. Otherwise, I'm not going to get my promotion to a business-facing role. The business now needs your technology brain. It needs your tech savviness. So your, you know, ability to understand the tech environment and technology that's out there, and it's not all about ERP, but if you are working in that space, you know, obviously it's more relevant than someone who's not. But you are in a position to put those skills forward into the business, into your finance teams, and obviously your knowledge of finance, you know, puts you in that driving seat as well. So I would say that your finance team needs you, and this is your big opportunity. You know, you are definitely one step ahead of a lot of people in core finance, corporate finance. And I would say that, you know, if you've already been working in this space for a number of years, you're absolutely in a position to go for these new roles. Now, you know, I don't have much time today, so I'm going to quickly fly through this, but we have developed 10 steps from a digital finance strategy point of view. And it's really important that, you know, we follow this. We follow this because individually, all these things add up, right? Individually, we can do something in this space. And I'll explain where the traditional approach sort of starts in these steps. But we need a people-centric approach. That makes the massive difference in your team, okay? We need people to take action. We need to understand our cultural ways of working. We need to help our existing team upskill, reskill. You know, this isn't about jumping to implementation. This is about focusing on people first. And the good news about this is that this people-centric approach is with your existing team. So it's low cost. It's low risk as well. You can go on this journey of digital finance in a very sort of internally focused, internal conversation way. Now, let me just quickly explain these 5 blocks. Community. Now, they say that, you know, to go fast, you go alone, to go far, you go together. Here, we're talking about a major shift in our profession, a sustainable change in the way that we work digitally. So this is about going together. This is about coming together as a team, as a tribe, you might call it, as a community. And we need the whole team to come together, the finance team and their stakeholders, what we would call a multidisciplinary team. And as I said, it's not just about ERP or FP&A, it's about the whole community coming together as digital finance capability is able to flex across all data, all processes, all information requirements. So it's not just about one silo and one little fancy team somewhere in the corner. This is permeating through the whole of your organization. And by creating this community, you start this learning culture. You start people talking about what we can do in the future. The next step is intentional ownership. Now, digital finance, you know, means changing, but who wants to change, right? And certainly, who wants to lead change? It's difficult, I know. And traditionally, the CFO or the CEO would sponsor a project and they'd hand it down to their management team, and those managers would find resource, probably within their team, to lead. That hierarchical approach to how we resource things. You know, maybe someone who's earmarked for greatness, someone who, you know, HR have wanted to fast track up that hierarchy. But in this case, it's different. Like the skills and the people who are going to own this are going to be different. Okay, think back to your sprinters. You know, they're athletes, but they're people who want this. They're people who want the race. And that may not be your senior management, because this is a new subject. This isn't core to the accounting profession, or even core, you know, until now, core to the finance functions, you know, objectives, or the finance functions reasons for being. But now we absolutely need to change to go towards this. So what we're looking for are people within that community who want this, who want to be part of a digital transformation of their finance function. And they're likely to be the ones who are going to be impacted by it. So the ones who are the younger in your team, who are going to be there for longer, who want to improve what's happening there, because they know it's going to impact them. You know, they're not looking at retirement and thinking, right, this is not going to affect me. They're thinking, right, you know, I'm part of Gen Z. I want to change what's happening here. So I want to intentionally give that person the lead, because they understand the impact on their ecosystem. And you use the community to find those owners, not, you know, through the sort of rigid org structure approach that we had before. Now, time investment. Let's be honest here. You know, I've been in situations where I've been asked to double hat, to triple hat. It does not work. So we need to create time for people to learn, to operate, to gain new skills. Otherwise, you know, your team will try to change, but won't have the time to change. And, you know, they're certainly not going to get over the hump of effort that's needed to make change. So this isn't just, you know, fancy time where we sit around thinking. This is about, you know, trying to understand the learning needs, the development of the team that's there. This isn't about going and handing this all over to external consultancies. This is about a new team given time to run in that new race. Okay, now this linked to this one is ideation, because this is what a lot of that time will be in this first phase. You know, building the community and finding owners will come from the conversations that we're having during this time. And that's where ideation comes in. A bit of a fluffy word, is an old Victorian word, but it's, you know, it's about sort of bringing ideas to the traditional finance team. You know, digital finance is about new things. We need to look at new ideas, and ideation is a process of creating ideas. You know, it's not just a box in the corner where you put slips in and then maybe once a month review. It's happening all the time, every conversation, every day. And you're creating, you know, a list, you're debating that list, you're ranking that list, you're making it a priority, and then you're making decisions to turn these ideas into projects. Okay, Amazon were very good at doing this. In fact, they would, you know, sponsor people and backfill those places if they felt that there was a great idea and they wanted someone to run with it. You know, the other thing around this is it sort of brings context to the conversation, perspective, why we're doing this in the first place. It allows everyone to get on the same page, to create sort of self-insights and really lock in that need for change before you start changing. And, you know, this really is the difference between success and failure, because people are going to understand the art of the possible, and they are going to want to work in this new space. And then finally, on this section, we have collaboration speed. So, you know, collaboration is a new skill that we need to learn. You know, we may collaborate within our team and we may partner with our business, but collaboration is an approach where lots of people are moving to, you know, make a project successful, all at the same time, different roles, and it's quite fluid. And as I've said before, you know, we're quite sort of ordered and fixed in our approach, but we need to be able to flex. We need to be able to sort of learn how to be more agile, and that is going to be both a mindset change by going through this process, understanding of an agile process, and looking at some tools. You know, if you've looked at sort of the growth mindset, that's very relevant to this. If you've looked at Slack as a collaboration tool, that's relevant to this process. So, but collaboration is something that we absolutely need to learn. And the tools that we use actually are, you know, some of Ben Horowitz's investment success stories. So we can share those with you as well. So this section here is very much around building culture, mindset, you know, creating an identity for that team before we start. Okay, and like I said, this is people-centric. It's low cost and it's low risk. So everybody should be going on this journey. So next up, we have probably something closer to what a lot of people do in a normal investment situation. You know, we need a digital vision. So we need a very specific vision that aligns to your strategy within your business, okay? But also clear direction to the new capability in the digital finance era. And we need to be clear on that mapping before we start. You know, without this, there's going to be misunderstanding and confusion, and, you know, a bit of a free-for-all when people get all excited about doing this stuff. Cottage industries everywhere, you know, those Friday projects springing up and you didn't even know about it. And, you know, in our workshops, we have a very simple exercise that takes a sort of broad view on digital finance and brings it down to these priorities and brings it down again to sort of clear actions, just to start, just to create this vision. And it's at that step that we're deciding, you know, is our first project around automation or analytics or apps? You know, what is it that we can deliver? So this approach is absolutely what we recommend, to take, you know, that 68% as low down as possible. And taking this approach will not only, you know, improve your success rate in this area, but it takes your team on a journey with you. And, you know, as I said, our approach to this, we call it sort of the digital finance core. It's the framework that we use to teach people in our digital finance labs. It's normally sort of 2 to 5 days, depending on how deep you want to go with it. And it's worth saying that, you know, this is here to sort of empower you to go and sort of make sustainable change internally yourself. And yes, there's risk in this area. You know, it's digital, it's transformative, it's different. But in uncertain times like this, you know, we've had to take these leaps of faith. You know, we've had to move in a way where we wouldn't normally move. We've had to take those risks. You know, otherwise you're part of the problem. And, you know, I feel that this is our opportunity, whether you're in GBiz, whether you're in FinOps or whatever, you know, within the finance function to start, you know, providing more value to the business, more planning, more automation, more, you know, remote and distance working for the business to kind of win at this digital finance relay race. So thank you very much for that. And with that, I will conclude and we will have a Q&A. But thank you very much for listening. I hope that was informative. And if you'd like any information, please email me at hello@generationscfo.com. Thanks very much for your time.